Part 61. Super Role Player. Author, Yuan-san Buletinji. Chapter 641. After Angzi hit the 13th three-pointer of the game ended. The 33-point difference was too huge, and the Clippers chose to abandon the game. Doug Rivas decisively called a timeout and replaced all the main players. The reason why he made such a choice is naturally due to Angzi. Angzi has hit the 13th three-pointer of the game, the record has been broken. Anyway, he has stepped on the Clippers' shoulders again, his goal has been completed, only waiting for an opportunity to leave the field to rest. On the Clippers' side, Angzi has already broken the three-pointer record, but they don't want to see Angzi continue to hit three-pointers and raise this record to a terrifying level, such as 15 three-pointers in a single game, or single 20 three-pointers from the field. In order to avoid such a thing from happening, Doug Rivas called a timeout in time, giving an 11 the opportunity to leave the field. The two teams replaced the main players, and the game became a performance of the two teams' substitute players. On the big stage of Los Angeles, the two teams' substitutes played very happily. This season, the 76ers are strong on the bench. After 2 months of the regular season, a Lewis Williams who averaged 14.6 points per game and a Shanifer who averaged 9.6 points have emerged on the bench of the 76ers. Lay and Evan Turner, who averaged 7.8 points per game, add up the scores of these three players to get a 32-point. If you count Troy Daniels, James Anderson, and Francisco Garcia, Sean Livingston, and Cole Aldridge, the 76ers bench scoring is about to break through the sky. In contrast, although the Clippers also have the former best sixth man Jamal Crawford, but the overall strength is still not as good as the 76ers. Therefore, even with all the substitutes, the situation on the court is still controlled by the 76ers. Jamal Crawford is in good form this season. He is expected to compete again for the honor of the best sixth man. Therefore, even when the team is behind by a large score, Doug Rivas still let Jamal Crawford forward scored on the court. Seeing that the Clippers boarded Jamal Crawford, the 76ers also replaced Lewis Williams in a targeted manner. As the season progressed, Lewis Williams gradually got more opportunities with the 76ers with his strong ability to grab points, especially when Kawhi's outside shooting was poor and his defense was poor. Lewis Williams has been reused, and there are even rumors that the 76ers are preparing to send Kawhi away, allowing the better defensive Ismail Smith to start, plus Lewis Williams on the bench to grab points and the 76ers control. The way position may therefore find its real answer. The game in the fourth quarter quickly turned into a scoring battle between Lewis Williams and Jamal Crawford, where you and I will score each other. In the end, Lewis Williams scored 11 points in the fourth quarter, and Jamal Clifford scored 12 points in the fourth quarter. The two were on par, or, strictly speaking, Jamal Crawford was slightly better. However, with the scoring in the first three quarters, Lewis Williams finally got 25 points, far more than Jamal Crawford's 20 points. In the end, the 76ers defeated the Clippers with a score of 127-99, a 28-point difference, and ushered in the three-game winning streak after Angzi's comeback. In this game, Angzi made 13 of 16 shots. He used the least number of shots and scored 39 points, plus 6 rebounds, 14 assists, 3 steals, and 1 block. All of Angzi's shots in this game were three-pointers, very accurate. The three-pointer also helped Angzi attract most of the Clippers' defensive focus in the third quarter, and therefore countless assists. Angzi broke another record, but this time it did not arouse too much madness. After all, the last time Angzi broke the record was just a few days ago. It is still vivid at this time, and the last time Angzi broke the record is unprecedented in the league. 5 pairs of no-comers. Although Angzi's 13 three-pointers were shocking, they still attracted a lot of attention. Only some fans who really watched the game constantly praised Angzi for every three-pointer on their social networking sites. Everyone, have you watched the Clippers' home game against the 76ers? Angzi's performance was so shocking. I was conquered by him. On the Hyupa website, a fan named Stars Lighting posted excitedly, and a link is attached to the back, which is a video collection of the entire game between Angzi and the Clippers. However, the first reply below is a reply from a fan named Smoke Banner. The original poster didn't watch the Christmas game. Was it just a shock that Angzi played in that game? What's so shocking about playing the Clippers, a big score? After the abuse, I don't even want to look back. Obviously, the Yankee is a fan who did not watch the 76ers vs Clippers game. He was still immersed in the 5-double miracle of Angzi a few days ago. But soon, there are many fans replying to the following posts to make Yanchi hurry to see the highlights of the game in Angzi. Didn't watch this game? Then you go and watch it? Click on the link from the host. Although this game is not comparable to the 5-double game, it is shocking enough. This is another shock. Yes, all kinds of ultra-long three-pointers are awesome. The last three-pointer passed the midline and it was shot directly, and it actually made it. It's so special. It's not very awesome, it's already too awesome, the most awesome in history. This ball, in summary, is that Angzi made a three-pointer, and all shots were three-pointers, and from 1 step away from the three-point line, to 2 steps away from the three-point line, to 3 steps away from the three-point line. In the end, he shot directly even after passing the midline, all kinds of ultra-long three-pointers that broke through the imagination and broke through the sky. It was too shocking, as the upstairs said, this is another shock. On the other side of the ocean in a small city in northern Jiangsu, a young office worker just got on the bus. He habitually took out his mobile phone and swiped up again. However, when he saw that one of his own replies had been destroyed countless times, he had some questions. He looked at his replies and felt that there was nothing wrong, so he clicked back to the original post and found that he had received a lot of replies. Those who do not watch this game are doomed to regret it, who do not watch the game and say something else, plus the various renderings on the upper floors. This fan named Yankee is a little bit puzzled. After opening the link provided by Stars Lighting, I couldn't help watching the highlights of this game in Angzi with traffic. Then, on the bus, under the public, blurted out with a silly sound. In the video, Angzi shot a three-pointer 3 steps away from the three-point line, shocking everyone. Then, when he saw Angzi actually pulled up to throw a three-pointer after passing the midline, the pupils of the smoke flag were almost enlarged to the maximum, and a prolonged slaughter slowly shouted from his mouth. All the passengers on the bus were shocked by the passenger's continuous sound. Super Role Player. Author, Yuan San Buletinji. Chapter 642. As time entered 2015, the 76ers' 2015 first game ushered in a good start, and then, good news flooded in. The NBA officially announced that the first stage of the All-Star voting is over, and the first round of vote statistics has been released. The successive announcements show that Angzi has once again won the first stage of the All-Star voting. Angzi won as many as 675,327 votes, defeating LeBron James with 505,288 votes and Stephen Curry with 503,328 votes by an absolute advantage, becoming the vote king of the first stage of the All-Star vote, based on Angzi's current trajectory. Look, with a lead of 170,000 votes, it should be no problem for Angzi to win the final vote. This is the first good news. This season, Angzi's popularity has further increased, and it is already the number 1 in the US NBA. The other good news is that the team has also improved on the inside. The Detroit Pistons recently deliberately waived Josh Smith, who has been performing worse and worse. The former Eagle King has fallen to the point of being abandoned by the Pistons after changing teams. However, even if they are abandoned, there are still many teams interested in Josh Smith. Of course, the 76ers who intend to reinforce the inside are one of them. In addition, the Houston Rockets in the West are also interested in Josh Smith. They even played an emotional card. Dwight Howard, who had had an affair with Josh Smith, was sent as a lobbyist, and the two teams started the battle before Josh Smith was not. Regardless of whether it can be fought or not, it is good news for the 76ers to have a chance to get Josh Smith. Josh Smith can play two positions, 3 and 4. His athletic talent is extremely strong. When he entered the league, he was a well-known jumping man, capable of inside and outside, with a strong shot block, and even a high position support. If he can get it, after reducing Josh Smith's position on the offensive end, it will definitely be a powerful supplement. Sam Hinkie started contacting Josh Smith, and the 76ers' journey in January 2015 began with this victory over the Clippers. On January 5, after a 3-day break, the 76ers played against the Celtics at home. The Celtics' performance this season is mediocre. Under the leadership of young coach Brad Stevens, they have achieved a 7-14 record. After Legerondo's return, they performed well, but they lost their youngest third. After the Giants, Legerondo is also difficult to lead the team to victory alone. It is said that the Celtics president Danny Ainge intends to send away Legerondo, who cannot lead the team alone to win. It is rumored that the 76ers are also interested in Legerondo. Passing and defense can share the pressure for Ainge and release Ainge's scoring talent. But this rumor has long been denied by Sam Hinkie. The operation of Sam Hinkie in recent years shows that he is not a mediocre general manager. On the contrary, he is very capable and understands the ball. In his view, Legerondo is a defensively enhanced version of Mkhitaryan, obviously cannot bring much change to the 76ers. Therefore, the likelihood of the 76ers getting Legerondo in a deal is zero. However, Sam Hinkie did consider replacing the team's starting point guard. Mkhitaryan's position in the 76ers is indeed a bit embarrassing. The offensive end conflicts with Ainge, and the defensive end has become a breakthrough point for the 76ers. It's almost a burden for the 76ers, and while Mkhitaryan still has some value, exchange for something useful as soon as possible. Therefore, Sam Hinkie has two sets of plans. One is to directly change Mkhitaryan, in exchange for some picks, and the team lineup remains unchanged. He also talked to Brett Brown about this point. With the depth of the 76ers' current lineup, once Mkhitaryan leaves, he can let the defensive well-known Ismail Smith start as a pseudo-starter, and let Luiz as a substitute. Williams' appearance on the court to grab points is also a good way to deal with it. Another option is to trade Mkhitaryan for a point guard that is more in line with the needs of the team, who can shoot three-pointers, run without the ball and be able to defend. However, if these conditions are listed, it is difficult to agree in the league condition of the player too. Therefore, at present, Sam Hinkie prefers the first option, directly changing to Mkhitaryan, in exchange for some useful chips in the future. But so far, Sam Hinkie is still on the sidelines. After all, there is still some time before the trade deadline. He can continue to look for better solutions. In this game against the Celtics, who had recently made 2 consecutive defeats, eventually lost to the 76ers. Ainge scored 29 points, 9 rebounds, 11 assists and 2 steals. In this game, the performance is a bit flat, of course, only compared with the previous 2 record-breaking games. The 3-point record of the last game has brought Ainge a glory pool. After this period of natural growth and the glory pool attached to the record-breaking, Ainge's glory pool is now full of 5 and no more will be added. In addition to the glory pool, the 3-point record also brought a new upgrade for Ainge. This time, he upgraded his rebounding attribute and upgraded the rebounding to a quasi-full value of 99 points. So he also won a quasi-3-double in the last battle. Grabbed 9 rebounds. The change brought to Ainge by the upgrades is that he has become more and more versatile. This season, his scoring exploded, his assists were in double figures in almost every game, and various steals and blocks were accounted for. That is to say, the rebound data was low. Before, Anzi only averaged 5 rebounds per game. After this upgrade, he should be able to grow up a good number. After defeating the Celtics, the 76ers achieved a 4-game winning streak. Then, the 76ers continued to play at home and ushered in the challenge of the Bucks before the game started. Anzi was satisfied at home. "I hugged my daughter, took a photo, and posted it on the internet." Although the daughter of Anzi in the photo is still a child's usual appearance, it can already be seen from the eyebrows that this child will be a mixed-race beauty in the future. After all, both Anzi and Abby have good genes. Anzi attached the picture, and then registered a Twitter account for his daughter. The name of the Twitter account is Anzi's name for her daughter. The Chinese name is Angel and the English name is Angel, which means that this is the little angel of Anzi. Satisfied, Anzi then abused the Bucks, who had a good record of the season, at Wachovia Arena. With a score of 97-77, the 76ers won by 20 points. The ease of the game surprised many people. You know, so far, the Bucks have a record of 18 wins and 18 losses. They can be ranked 7th in the weak Eastern Conference. Such a playoff-level team, it was so easily solved by Anzi with a data of 26 points, 8 rebounds and 13 assists. After 5 consecutive victories, after Anzi came back, his state has been adjusted to the best, and the team has won consecutively. After a wave of 5 consecutive victories, the 76ers' record has become 26 wins and 8 losses, returning to the top of the Eastern Conference. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Role Player. Author, Yiwen-san Buletinji. Chapter 643. Josh Smith is in a difficult situation. He must choose one of the Rockets and 76ers as his next home. The Rockets, one of the strongest in the West, this season is their second season with Howard. The Rockets continue to improve and currently rank among the top 4 in the West in terms of record, keeping pace with the Warriors, Spurs and Clippers. The 76ers, the league's premier team and the defending champion, this season Anzi has made great progress again and began to dominate the league. Many people exclaimed that Anzi is the contemporary Michael Jordan. Obviously, the 76ers who own Anzi are the current league champions. The biggest favorite, joining the 76ers means that you are not far from the championship. Looking at this point alone, it seems that Josh Smith should not hesitate anymore. Although the Rockets' record is not much worse than the 76ers, but from the comparison of the pure strength of the teams, the two teams are not at all in the same class. The 76ers are obviously stronger. If the 76ers are considered a championship-level team, then the Rockets can only be regarded as the league's first-tier team. So far, they have not shown the temperament of a championship. Therefore, just looking at the strength of the team, Josh Smith should choose the 76ers. But the Rockets have a Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard is Josh Smith's youngest son. When Josh Smith got married, Dwight Howard was even his best man. Naturally, the relationship between the two is needless to say. The Rockets are still some distance away from becoming a championship-level team, and if they want to achieve this distance, they naturally need to bring in strong support. Former Eagle King Josh Smith is obviously the support the Rockets dream of. Some Rockets fans even imagine, if Josh Smith joins and gets back to his peak state, then the Rockets will form an inside band composed of Josh Smith and Dwight Howard. In the flying zone, two strong men with physical fitness will disrupt the offense and defense of all teams, and the Rockets will also rise to a championship-level team. But all this is obviously a fantasy. Soon, the 76ers made an offer to Josh Smith, and now the biggest advantage of the 76ers is that they still have a huge salary space and can give a not-so-small contract. Therefore, when the 76ers directly offered a mid-level contract of $5 million a year, Josh Smith was slightly biased towards the 76ers, and no one would have trouble with the money. The Rockets obviously couldn't make such a contract. They played the emotional card and asked Dwight Howard to make a call to Josh Smith, recounting the past. Dwight Howard even asked Josh Smith directly at the end of the call, "Josh, come and help me, we are good friends and we should be together to create our own era." Many people didn't know the result of the phone call, and only some general information was sent, which was written in the newspaper by an NBA reporter in Houston. Sam Hinkie is worried that Josh Smith will choose the Rockets. He feels that signing Josh Smith will definitely strengthen the team, especially for the team's current weak inside line. It will definitely be a great supplement. Strong. Thinking about it, Sam Hinkie asked Angie to call Josh Smith. Player recruitment, this is the first time Angie has participated in such a thing. He found it very fresh and remembered an interesting fact about player recruitment in the league, about LeBron James. It is said that when LeBron James was in the Heat, he formed the Big Three and was so complacent that he needed a role player to join him. He sent a message to a veteran with good strength. The message claimed to be King, the Emperor, making the veteran dumbfounded. Obviously, LeBron James put himself in a high position. He seems to be looking down on the players he recruited. Therefore, the veteran did not choose to join the Heat because of LeBron James' attitude. Angie learned the lesson of LeBron James. He called Josh Smith with a sincere attitude. "Josh, we need your presence. You know, the championship is not made up of one person, it is made up of all people working together. I hope you can become one of us and help us complete the defense." These remarks were obviously very decent. They raised Josh Smith very high, even lowered his posture, without mentioning himself from the beginning to the end. But the next second, a few words from Josh Smith made Angie choke. "Sorry, Ann, I have actually made a decision. I decided to join the Houston Rockets." Why, Angie is naturally very strange. It's hard to think that Dwight Howard's phone works so well, better than championships, better than money, and better than himself. Soon, Josh Smith gave an answer, "The Rockets promised me the main position, which you can't give me. I still believe in my own strength. Therefore, I choose the Rockets and I believe that I will join. The Rockets can also join the championship." Josh Smith showed his incomparable self-confidence, and an 11 had no choice but to spread his hands. Anyway, time will prove whether Josh Smith's final choice is correct. However, after the media reporters learned about the inside story of the Josh Smith battle, they began to laugh at the 76ers. The 76ers failed in the competition, and Josh Smith went to Houston. Angie's phone is not as good as Warcraft. Josh Smith finally chose the Rockets. Even ESPN's expert reporter Henry Abbott pretended to analyze the issue of Angie's attraction to free agents. He believes, Angie should be far inferior to LeBron James in terms of its ability to attract free agents and big-name players. Yes, socially, Angie is far inferior to Emperor Jean. LeBron James can recruit Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, and Kevin Love, and Angie can't even negotiate a Josh Smith. This is obviously the social gap between the two. What are the serious consequences of this gap? Henry Abbott also answered. In the long run, Angie will lack good teammates, and his team will gradually lose competitiveness. For Henry Abbott's analysis, Angie could only sneer, "Anyway, time will prove everything." Angie has the same attitude towards Josh Smith. Time will prove that Josh Smith's choice was wrong. Failing to recruit Josh Smith, the 76ers could only sign inside Brandon Davis with a 10-day contract from the Development League to ease the team's lack of insiders. The January game also continued. After defeating the Bucks, the 76ers rushed to Brooklyn to beat the Nets again with a score of 109-88 in the away game and scored a wave of 6 consecutive victories. On the other side, the Rockets that got Josh Smith fluctuated. They also fought in New York, but at Madison Square Garden on the other side. In the end, they lost to the New York Knicks. Josh Smith got a lot of opportunities, but in the end he made 2 of 11 shots, only scored 5 points, and had 4 rebounds and 3 assists. The main position was obtained, but Josh Smith's performance was terrible. Super Role Player. Author, San Buletinji. Chapter 644. The 76ers are weak in signings. On the other hand, the Cavaliers have made tremendous progress in signings. In the first 36 games of the season, the Cavaliers only achieved a record of 19 wins and 17 losses, with a winning rate of more than 50%. Obviously, this Cavaliers need to make changes, otherwise even if they have the big three, they will not be able to compete with the 76ers. Therefore, thanks to David Griffin's efforts, the Cavaliers trade began one after another. Because it is a reorganized team, the Cavaliers still lack a lot of important elements, such as the big center inside, such as the outside shooter that LeBron James needs. Coupled with the previous LeBron James injury, the Cavaliers suffered an embarrassing wave of 9 losses in 10 games, so the change is imminent. On January 6, David Griffin first announced the completion of a 3-way transaction after a long period of negotiations. The objects of the transaction were the New York Knicks and the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Cavaliers sent Dion Waiters, Alex Kirk, and Louis Amundson and a future second-round pick to get the Knicks Iman Shumpert, J.R. Smith and the Thunder's future protected first-round draft picks right. The Thunder sent Rand Thomas, a future protected first-round draft pick, to get Dion Waiters from the Cavaliers. The Knicks sent J.R. Smith, Iman Shumpert, and got Rand Thomas, Alex Kirk and Louis Amundson, as well as the second round of the Cavaliers. After this transaction is completed, the biggest winner is naturally the Cavaliers. From the outside world, the Thunder's move to acquire Dion Waiters is puzzling. After all, in the Cavaliers, Dion Waiters' playing attitude and offensive choices have always been questioned. Not only did Dion Waiters have poor shot choices, but even in the Cavaliers. It made a joke that LeBron James asked for the ball and he would not give it, and was dubbed by Chinese fans as the dad who will be strong in his life. So, from this point of view, the Dion Waiters sent by the Cavaliers as a treasure, in a strict sense, actually cleared a thorn. And the Knicks, in line with the idea of cleaning up the stinging J.R. Smith, caught up with the best 3D player Iman Shumpert, and many people think that it may be a huge loss trade. Although J.R. Smith stabbed his head, his personal strength is still no problem. A season ago he was still a strong contender for the best sixth man. At this time, it is only after a season. J.R. Smith's problem will only be a question of attitude and ability. There is no problem with it. If you change the environment, J.R. Smith can still break out. Therefore, in the end, the Cavaliers got a strong nerve knife J.R. Smith by sending away the stabbing head Dion Waiters, a second-round pick and 2 insignificant additional players, and a superb 3D Iman Shumpert on the outside. And even got a first-round pick. This transfer operation was perfect. Especially the first-round pick. 2 days later, David Griffin used that pick again. 2 days later, David Griffin announced that the Cavaliers had acquired the great Russian white bear Timothy Mozgov from the Nuggets at the cost of 2 first-round picks. Therefore, after only 2 trades, the Cavaliers had reinforced the projection problem of the inside and outside respectively. On January 7, 2015, the J.R. Smith Cavaliers made their debut. Although they eventually lost to the Rockets, J.R. Smith made 11 of 23 shots and scored 27 points and performed well. After changing a team, J.R. Smith became the former neurosurgery J.R. Smith again, scoring 27 points as soon as he broke out. On January 9, LeBron James continued to be injured, and another new aide Iman Shumpert also continued to be injured. Although Timothy Mozgov also made his debut on the team, it was also the second time this season. For the last time against the Warriors, the Cavaliers still failed to win. However, Mozgov performed well, scoring 9 points and 8 rebounds on 3 of 7 shots, perfectly playing the role of the inside gate, and the Cavaliers' inside problem was also solved. Then, on January 11, LeBron James still did not return. The Cavaliers faced the Sacramento Kings. The 76ers also faced the Pacers, who still did not have Paul George. As a result, the 76ers beat the Pacers 98-92 and won 7 consecutive victories. And the Cavaliers lost again, they lost to the Kings 89-103. The gap between the 76ers and the Cavaliers is gradually widening, but the Cavaliers fans are no longer surprised by the loss. They have begun to look forward to the return of LeBron James. As long as LeBron James returns, the new Cavaliers can set sail. On January 13, the two teams played at the same time again. The 76ers played at home against the Hawks, who are currently second in the Eastern Conference, while the Cavaliers challenged the Suns away. For the 76ers, this game seems to be relatively difficult. After all, the Hawks have a fierce momentum this season. The current record of 28 wins and 9 losses is comparable to the 76ers, who have 28 wins and 8 losses. But the game is starting, and the gap between the two teams is really revealed. Although the Eagles have an excellent regular season record, from the perspective of strength, the 76ers are a championship-level team, and the Eagles are at most only Eastern Finals-level balls. Team, as soon as Anzi made an effort, the Eagles couldn't handle it. The Hawks' outbreak this season is due to Mike Budenholzer's tactical maturity, but against the unreasonable Anzi, Mike Budenholzer's tactics are useless. Facing DeMar Carroll's defense, Anzi broke out in a wave of three-pointers in the second half of the second quarter, scoring 15 points in a row, pulling away the originally anxious score in one fell swoop, and then there was no suspense in the game. The 76ers won again, and the winning streak extended to 8 games. Their record also came to 29 wins and 8 losses, leading the Eagles by 1.5 wins and continuing to rank first in the East. As for the Cavaliers, LeBron James finally made his comeback, with the Big Three, plus new aides J.R. Smith and Mozgov. Almost all the main Cavaliers played in the away game against the Suns, but the final result was somewhat different. Disappointing. At 100-107, the Cavaliers lost again. They lost to Jeff Hornacek's team by 7 points. Kevin Love and Kelly Irving performed poorly. The only consolation is that J.R. Smith did have a spark with LeBron James. J.R. Smith scored 8 three-pointers and scored 29 points, plus LeBron, who scored 33 points. Brown James, the two scored 62 points, but still failed to lead the team to win. A day later, the two teams set foot on the back-to-back arena at the same time, the 76ers back-to-back away to challenge the Raptors, and the Cavaliers arrived in Los Angeles, away to challenge the Lakers. However, at this time, the media did not pay too much attention to the results of these two games, and more media began to speculate about the second matchup between the 76ers and the Cavaliers this season. The Cavaliers played the Lakers, the 76ers played the Raptors, and then the two teams were about to meet again. This game will be the second time the two teams have met this season. The last game was at the home of the 76ers, so this game will be changed to the home of the Cavaliers. Compared with the last time the two teams faced off against the Cavaliers, the situation before the start of the battle has changed. The 76ers have won a streak in a row, which is already an 8-game winning streak. Will be the last obstacle to the 76ers' 10-game winning streak. The Cavaliers are on the contrary. Because LeBron James has been absent for a row, the Cavaliers have lost 9 in 10 games during this period. Recently, they have ushered in a wave of 6 consecutive losses. The miserable cannot be any more miserable. LeBron James returned or lost the last game. The ball is gone, and the situation still doesn't look better. Now, Cavaliers fans can only hope that the Cavaliers will beat the Lakers and improve their morale. The different circumstances of the two teams made the public opinion before this game different. The 76ers will be all the main players. At present, they have a fierce momentum. The chance of winning the next game is very high. The Cavaliers, who are still in the running-in period, will not be the opponents of the 76ers. ESPN expert Mark Stein made the above evaluation. As for the Cavaliers, USA Today's Sam Amick also has something to say. Actually, the 7-point loss in the last game is not the end. The Cavaliers' condition is obviously improving. The next game is to play the Lakers. Iman Shumpert will also return, and the Cavaliers will return to a fully healthy state under the new lineup. They will not lose to the Lakers again, but one thing must be said is that they definitely can't lose to the 76ers. If they lose to the 76ers again, it will be the real doomsday. Zach Lovey disagrees with Sam Amick's view. I think the Cavaliers will definitely lose to the 76ers, because the Cavaliers are still running in. They can't beat the 76ers, and now the only one in the league that can defeat the 76ers with pure strength. The Sixers team has only the Golden State Warriors. Zach Lowy mentioned the Warriors, so after reviewing the 76ers schedule, some reporters also mentioned the Warriors. No hurry, the 76ers will encounter the Warriors for the second time in the near future. There is a result. Now we need to focus on the 76ers and the Cavaliers battle. Hearing such a voice, Zach Lowe also immediately played the role of his own data emperor. If it is the 76ers and the Cavaliers, I think that the Cavaliers at this stage are not the opponents of the 76ers, because they are still running in. Brown James has been injured for a long time and needs to look for his form. Therefore, a Cavaliers who are not at the peak are definitely not the opponent of the 76ers. What's more, the Cavaliers will have to face the 76ers with a winning streak in the next game. For the future, I think that if the running in is in place, the Cavaliers have a chance to compete with the 76ers. LeBron James has his own system. The new players J.R. Smith and Iman Shumpert fit his system perfectly. Gove will also make up for the long-standing shortcomings of LeBron James' team. By then, the Cavaliers will be a perfect Cavaliers. As long as David Blatter can play the role of the Big Three, the Cavaliers will be the strongest in the East. One of the two teams of course, they are not yet. Zach Lowy's words have received a lot of recognition, but his last paragraph is considered empty talk. Let the role of the Big Three come into full play. Simple to say, but difficult to do. The biggest problem for the Giant team was originally the question of whether 1+1 can equal 3 or even greater than 3. The Big Three of the Heat back then was 1+1 is less than 3. Therefore, many people are not optimistic that David Blatter can fully play the power of the Big Three. On the contrary, there are not many Giants of the 76ers will be stronger, because Anzi and Pau Gasol can perfectly fit. The role of both can be maximized. This team is the most powerful. Toronto, before the start of the away game against the Raptors, Anzi was caught by a reporter on the scene and asked a few questions. Except for the first question related to the Raptors game, the other two questions were related to the Cavaliers. Can we win the next game? Actually, I want to say that I only focus on the moment, but I think that with our current state, we can win all the games, including the next game, and even the next game. The Cavaliers deal? I understand. Both deals are good. The Cavaliers will be our biggest opponent, but it doesn't matter. We are not afraid of any opponent. Two questions, one about winning or losing the next game. Anzi showed strong self-confidence, expressing the determination to win. Another question, Anzi answered more appropriately, and finally showed his self-confidence. In the subsequent game, Anzi and the Raptors Trash Brothers spewed trash talk because of the three opening questions. Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan think that there is too much enthusiasm for the Cavaliers and 76ers before the game, which ignores the existence of the Raptors, and they want to give Anzi a good look. But after the game started, it was Anzi that really gave them a good look. Anzi wants to continue his winning streak. He wants to expand his 8-game winning streak to 9-game winning streak, then defeat the Cavaliers and have another 10-game winning streak. Therefore, Anzi played very seriously in this game. With full attack, Anzi scored 18 points in the first quarter, and the Garbage Brothers only scored 17 points in the first quarter. The two of them were naturally dull. It can only be made up from the second quarter. In the first half of the second quarter, Anzi did not play, the Garbage Brothers took turns out of the field. Kyle Lowry first scored a 9-pointer, and then DeMar DeRozan and Anzi played together, and then Anzi exploded. Just after his appearance in the second half of the second quarter, he made a strong 3-pointer against DeRozan's defense, and made 3 consecutive 3-pointers, and he defended DeRozan's mid-range shot. Anzi scored 9 points in a row. It exploded all at once. In the last 3 minutes of the second quarter, Anzi ended up by constantly playing high singles, and finally scored 17 points in the second quarter, helping the team establish a 16-point lead in the half. At this time, Anzi has scored 35 points. For the Garbage Brothers, Kyle Lowry scored 17 points, DeMar DeRozan scored 14 points, and the two totaled only 31 points, which is less than Anzi alone scored 4 points. In the third quarter, the Raptors had the last chance, but in this quarter Anzi continued to exert force and scored another 15 points. The difference was widened to 20 points, and the game ended in 3 quarters. Anzi scored 50 points in the game, and the Garbage Brothers scored 48 points. Anzi scored 2 points less than Anzi alone. Anzi defeated the Garbage Brothers in the first battle, which once again shocked the entire North America. Since Anzi's return from the fighting ban, Anzi's state has been so good that he not only won a 5-double, but also broke a triple-double record. In this game, he scored another 50 points. In a continuous excellent state, many people started worried about the Cavaliers in the next game. Losing is not terrible. It would be embarrassing if Anzi scored a high score or a new record while losing. Super Role Player. Author, Yuen San Buletinji. Chapter 645. Winning the Raptors, the 76ers have won 9 games in a row. As long as they defeat the Cavaliers, they can complete the second consecutive victory of more than 10 games this season. Generally speaking, a winning streak of more than 10 games means that the team has the strength to compete for the championship, and when a team completes 2 consecutive victories of more than 10 games in a single season, then the strength of this team, there is no doubt about it. Therefore, the 76ers must complete this winning streak anyway, and the Cavaliers must prevent the 76ers from completing this 10-game winning streak anyway. LeBron James made a bold statement before the game. In the last game they won the Lakers, who could only be led by Nick Young in Los Angeles. They finally recovered a bit of feeling and morale. Therefore, in the context of this last big victory, LeBron James has more confidence in the next game. LeBron James is not a person who is afraid of difficulties. He knows that if he wants to get the coveted O'Brien Cup, he must beat Anzi. I don't know when, LeBron James began to discover that the biggest mountain in front of him has changed from the Green Army's Big Three and Spurs GDP to the little brother Anzi beside GDP. Anzi's growth rate is too scary. At the beginning of last season, LeBron James just felt that Anzi had become very strong and was about to surpass him. By the end of the season, Anzi could be on par with him. LeBron James felt the frustration deeply. He knew that he could not compare to Anzi. But it doesn't matter, the Cavaliers are a team of the Big Three. After a series of previous transactions, the Cavaliers also have a group of high-quality role players. In addition to Anzi, the 76ers are only left with Pau Gasol. Jack Roeder and his like can only be regarded as role players and cannot be important tasks. Therefore, based on paper strength alone, the Cavaliers can suppress the 76ers, and LeBron James's confidence also comes from here. He feels that even if he can't beat Anzi himself, it is enough for his team to beat Anzi. Running in, This is what LeBron James has said the most in recent team training. Indeed, for the Cavaliers at this stage, the most important thing is running in. As long as they run in properly, the Cavaliers still have a good chance to beat the 76ers. 2 days later, on January 16, Cleveland, Quicken Loans Arena was already full. This is the first home game since LeBron James recovered from injury. J.R. Smith, Iman Shumpert and Mozgov joined, so the Cavaliers fans are very excited, especially the opponent in this game is the 76ers. All Cavaliers fans know that if they want to win the O'Brien Cup this season, they must cross the 76ers mountain. As a result, the outbreak of the set of Century Wars has aroused the attention of more Cavaliers fans. The scene was full of enthusiasm, and the appearance of LeBron James triggered a wave of cheers on the scene. Seeing the Cavaliers' pursuit of LeBron James so enthusiastically, James Anderson was also a little speechless. Have these fans forgotten how LBJ abandoned them? Angzi shook his head. He couldn't join in on this topic. Although subjectively he did not abandon the Spurs fans, nor did he make any decision 1 decision 2, but in fact he was also a player who has changed teams, so sensitive topic, he is still not suitable to talk about. Before this game, Brett Brown changed the team's starting lineup. Ismail Smith replaced Nka in the starting lineup. This game his task is to defend Kelly Irving. As for Nkaway, even the 76ers know that Nkaway has left the team for a countdown. According to local media reports in Philadelphia, Sam Hinkie has contacted the two teams and is rushing to negotiate. There are specific transactions completed. Basically Nkaway should trade for an inside rotation, adding some picks and other chips, and the 76ers point guard position will not change much because of Nkaway's departure. Ismail Smith will enter the starter with his defense, and the bench composed of Lewis Williams and Sean Livingston is also strong enough. In this game, Brett Brown is experimenting with such a formation. Of course, there are also reasons for targeting Kelly Irving. Compared with the 76ers, the Cavaliers have changed a lot in the starting lineup. The three positions of point guard Kelly Irving, small forward LeBron James and power forward Kevin Love will not change, but the shooting guard has become Iraq Man Shumpert, the center became Timofey Mozgov. David Blatter chose to start Iman Shumpert, and his purpose was obvious. Iman Shumpert was here to specifically target Angzi. However, Angzi also knows something about Iman Shumpert. They have faced each other before. The final result is that Iman Shumpert can't prevent Angzi at all. Therefore, Angzi still has a lot of confidence in this game. Iman Shumpert's. In this game, he wants more than just victory, he also wants more. The referee blew his whistle and the game began. Timofey Mozgov won the jump ball, and the Cavaliers used 2 first-round picks in exchange for the main center of the Russian national team to show his role in the opening game. After grabbing the ball in the opening first attack, the Cavaliers immediately began to organize a half-court attack. The basketball was in the hands of LeBron James, and Jack Lauder went up. In this game, Angzi did not switch to LeBron James. Brett Brown gave Angzi a more important task: full defense and defense. Obviously, Brett Brown gradually realized the role of Angzi. He believed that it would be a waste of Angzi to target one person alone. Let Angzi do the work of supplementing defense and assisting defense in order to maximize Angzi's role on the defensive end. LeBron James sought pick and roll cooperation from the outside in the opening game. Kevin Love mentioned the high position, a single block, and the 76ers defense was a bit difficult. LeBron James' breakthrough is not so easy to defend, and Kevin Love's three-point threat from the outside cannot be ignored. LeBron James is the best passer inside and outside. If the 76ers choose to contain LeBron James, then LeBron James will choose to pass the ball immediately, and Kevin Love on the outside will get a three-pointer. Therefore, Jack Lauder had nothing to do, gritted his teeth to keep up with LeBron James, and did not choose to change defense. But with this defense, LeBron James' opportunity came. He was like a bulldozer, pushing directly into the inside. At this time, Angzi rushed out from the other side and made up the defense to LeBron James. LeBron James turned around and lay up against Angzi's supplementary defense. But in the end it was squeezed by Angzi's strength, and the layup missed. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Role Player. Author, Yuen Sanbuletinji. Chapter 646. Noren's Knoll scored the rebound, Angzi received the ball and advanced to the front court. Perimeter Iman Shumpert defended Angzi. The Cavaliers played well in his rookie season. He was compared with Angzi at the time. After all, the rookie season was similar in their numbers, both were about 10 points. Other statistics are not high, and the roles within the team are basically the same: defense and three-pointers. But after 3 seasons, the status of the two is very different. Iman Shumpert was very nervous at this time. He knew Angzi's power on the offensive end, so he became very careful. But Angzi played a bit unreasonably. He took the ball at 45 degrees on the left, hit his back fiercely, and then turned directly, a turnover jumper, hit a two-pointer, 2:0, the 76ers came out on top. Angzi scored a goal in his best way. The role of the Cavaliers' new aide Iman Shumpert was not reflected, and LeBron James was also helpless. He knew that this ball might not be able to prevent him in exchange for defense. Let alone Iman Shumpert. After the Cavaliers attacked, Kelly Irving and Mozgov played the pick and roll, and Ismail Smith was very close, so he was past the first step after the pick and roll. Fortunately, there was Angzi on the inside. Angzi directly supplemented the defense and blocked Kelly Owen's subsequent emergency stop jumper. Noren's Knoll once again scored the rebound. The 76ers counter-attack came afterwards. Angzi received the pass and rushed to the front court at all speed. All the Cavaliers' defenses immediately leaned towards Angzi, and almost everyone thought Angzi was about to pass. Front court. Jack Lauder's chance. Angzi pass. Turner sports commentator Reggie Miller yelled, and then, he found that Angzi did not pass the ball. He was a little anxious at the moment. Pass the ball. There was another shout, but an 11 on the court was somewhat determined. He did not pass the ball, but chose to come by himself. An 11 stepped faster and passed Iman Shumpert directly, and then, with LeBron James' supplementary defense, rushed to the inside basket and succeeded. Pretty. Angzi ignored the Cavaliers' defense, and broke through the Cavaliers' defense alone. At this moment, Reggie Miller didn't care whether Angzi's playing was reasonable or not, because Angzi's shot was too tough, and it was no one blockable. 4:0, the Cavaliers must score, so LeBron James took the ball personally and beat Jack Lauder. This season, Jack Lauder has improved significantly, not only on the offensive end, but also on the defensive end to defend the opponent's arrow players. But when he is really facing a scorer at the level of LeBron James, Jack Lauder's defense is also a little weak. LeBron James broke through with all his strength, directly pushed Jack Lauder away like a bulldozer, rushed into the three-point line, made an emergency stop jumper, and sent the basketball to the hoop before Angzi made up the defense. 4:2, the Cavaliers finally scored. The 76ers were not in a hurry. Angzi slowly suppressed the rhythm and continued the battle of positions. He controlled the ball to the front court and then motioned to his teammates to pull it away. As a result, Jack Lauder and the others dispersed in a trapezoidal position, with all the space in the middle left, and all the space left to Angzi. Angzi puts on a singles posture. This time Iman Shumpert is going to be tested again. Iman Shumpert became more and more nervous. In this state, it is difficult for him to prevent Angzi's singles. Angzi is going to play singles again. In this game, his offensive desire is a bit high. He scored 50 points in the last game. Maybe this game can also score a high score. After 3 consecutive singles, Angie rarely played that way this season, so Reggie Miller found a difference. Then, Angie's singles began. A very quick first step, Angie almost just took it, just one step past Iman Shumpert. Iman Shumpert's defender's instincts made him turn around to follow Angie, but then Angie rushed for 2 steps and suddenly stopped with a break, and Iman Shumpert couldn't keep up the step. Angie stopped abruptly, then stepped back and shot a jumper. Huh! There was a crisp sound of wiping the net, and Angie scored 3 goals in a row, scoring 6 points, 6:2, and the Cavaliers fans all over the court suddenly lost their voice. The enthusiasm before the game no longer exists. Angie is too bad, and the Cavaliers fans have never seen Angie like this on the scene. After all, the Cavaliers in the past few seasons were weak teams, and there was no need for Angie to break out like this. This season, facing LeBron James's return of the Cavaliers, Angie made full shots at the beginning of the game and broke out completely. The Cavaliers fans discovered the strength of Angie, hitting 3 goals in a row, a turnover jumper, a fast attack with physical talent, and finally a step jumper with a sudden stop and 3 goals, each of which is very simple. The simpler the offensive scoring, the more shows Angie is powerful. He does not need to make 2 gorgeous moves to score easily. The Cavaliers' offense, LeBron James singles in high position, an acceleration press Jack Lauder into the inside. This time, Angie couldn't make up the defense, and LeBron James found a chance to rush into the inside and dunk it. All of a sudden, Quicken Loans Arena exploded. When Angie scored 3 goals in a row, the audience was silent, and everyone was suppressed until LeBron James dunked, a dunk that brought back all the morale of the Cavaliers. In the face of the Quicken Loans Arena where the atmosphere was once again strong, Angie didn't care, but after LeBron James dunked, he glanced at him, which inspired Angie's fighting spirit. Angie decided to return the goal. He hasn't played answer ball in a long time, but when he saw LeBron James, which can be said to be his worst enemy, Angie's fighting spirit came. In the same high position singles, Angie also completely passed Iman Shumpert, and finally rushed into the penalty area with a dunk. With a bang, the Cavaliers fans on the scene died suddenly. 8 points in a row. Angie's explosive state is amazing. Without a three-pointer, is this still Angie who broke the three-point record before? Reggie Miller's voice just fell, the Cavaliers shot wide, and the 76ers made another wave of counterattack. Angie shot a chasing three-pointer in the counterattack, 2 steps away from the three-point line, undefended, and hit a hit. At 11:4, the score difference was so widened by Angie, who was in a state of disastrous, to 7 points. The Cavaliers attacked, LeBron James' face sank, he broke through again, rushed to the inside, after attracting Angie's double team, the basketball was divided to the outside, Kelly Owen received the ball, swayed Ismail Smith, to the three-point line moved a step inside and hit a jumper. 11:6. Angie's hand feels completely hot. At this time, he rushed to the inside, 3 steps away from the three-point line, and made another three-pointer. The moment the ball was let go, Reggie Miller shouted, "Go in!" Another three-pointer. Then the next second, with a scream 3 points into the bag. At 14:6, Angie scored 14 points in the opening game, and the offensive end was completely broken. Then, he continued to show off and scored points again and again, and completely opened his own scoring account in the first quarter. The Cavaliers quickly recovered their form, and under the leadership of LeBron James and Kelly Irving, they gradually bit the score. The two teams fought against each other in the first quarter, and the scene was very exciting, which made Reggie Miller in the commentary also exclaimed. Soon, the first quarter ended, the 76ers led by 38-32, Angie shot 10 of 14 in the first quarter, scored 27 points, 2 rebounds and 3 assists, completely broke out. In contrast, LeBron James was finished by Angie. Completely crushed, LeBron James scored 13 points in the first quarter. Normally LeBron James's 13 points are not low, but helplessly, he met an enchanting Anxi in this game, and his 13 points became bleak. With 27 points in the first quarter, Anxi's scoring in this game rushed to a high score. The Cavaliers felt that it was not good, and David Blatter hurriedly scratched his head and wanted to stop Anxi. Super Role Player. Author, Yuen San Buletinji. Chapter 647. After 27 points in a single quarter, the Cavaliers began to find ways to prevent Anxi from scoring. David Blatter is not a mediocre. As a head coach returning from Europe, he knows very well that at this moment, he should give Anxi the highest courtesy on defense. So, during the break, David Blatter arranged a double-teaming tactic and asked LeBron James to defend Anxi. Compared with Iman Shumpert, LeBron James' defense is not much better, but LeBron James has his advantage. His body can carry Anxi's strong offense. Such a change of defense is at least difficult for Anxi. Then take advantage of his physical fitness to directly beat his opponent. It also means that it is difficult for Anxi to play the kind of simple and efficient offense in the first quarter. In addition to LeBron James' single defense, the Cavaliers also replaced Tristan Thompson to protect the rim while preparing to attack Anxi at any time. In the second quarter, the lineup of the two teams was a semi-main lineup. The 76ers continued to play with Anxi. The point guard was on Lewis Williams to strengthen the offense. Anxi moved to the third position and Troy Daniels in the second position. Inside, Channing Frye and Cole Aldridge. For the Cavaliers, LeBron James continued to play, with a combination of Matthew Dellavedova and J.R. Smith on the outside, and Shawn Marion and Tristan Thompson on the inside. The Cavaliers' lineup is short, but the speed is good, and the defensive hardness of the inside line is acceptable. The two teams are destined to continue to fight against each other in the second quarter. Soon, the game restarted. The opening of the second quarter was the 76ers' possession of the ball. After playing, Anxi gave Lewis Williams a hand-to-hand cooperation from a high position. Lewis Williams received the ball. Then, he discovered that Matthew was defending him. Dellavedova actually let go of him, but instead cooperated with LeBron James to begin to contain Anxi without the ball. Obviously, this is how the Cavaliers changed defensively in the second quarter. Their goal is to prevent Anxi from being killed, and Matthew Dellavedova began to implement this strategy profoundly in the opening game. Lewis Williams did not waste opportunities either. His ability to score points off the bench is still very strong. Because he is far from the basket and has just a cold shot, Lewis Williams finally chose a breakthrough to end the offensive method, and he broke into the inside. Tristan Thompson can only make up. Lou Wei passed the ball, Cole Aldridge dunks inside, 2 points succeeded. At the beginning of the second quarter, the 76ers easily tore apart the Cavaliers' defenses, but Anxi didn't feel happy. The Cavaliers doubled himself so simply. In this way, it would be difficult for him to score in the second quarter unless he forced them. Singles. After thinking about it, Anxi thought of a way. After defending against the Cavaliers' attack, Anxi handed the basketball to Lewis Williams directly in the backcourt, and then started running without the ball. The Cavaliers obviously can't double-team Anxi without the ball. If they do, they are allowing the 76ers to win the game. After all, one less player on the defensive end means that the 76ers can completely match the ball is given to an unguarded player and the basket is empty. So, at this time, Anxi's off-ball running started to show off. Anxi also played very well off the ball. He rounded out from the bottom corner, and then ran a circle back and forth, which was almost a reverse run, and Anxi got a chance. This caused the Cavaliers to panic a little, and Shawn Marion quickly made up for it, but everything was too late. Anxi had already received the basketball, and when Shawn Marion pounced on him, he stepped back and took a three-point jumper. Shawn Marion, who jumped high and pounced at Anxi, only heard a clear sound, and the basketball plunged into the basket. 3 points. Angzi directly scored the 30th point of the game. With this ball, an 11 proved that he is not only a huge threat when he has the ball, but his off-ball is also a weapon that can pierce all defenses. When there is a ball, Angzi is a superstar. When there is no ball, Angzi is still a superstar. Then, Angzi played 3 consecutive rounds without the ball. In these 3 rounds, Angzi scored 3 points in a row. His personal score has also risen to 36 points. As a result, the point difference was stretched above 10 points, and the situation on the court immediately became unfavorable for the Cavaliers. Angzi continued to score points, which the Cavaliers did not want to see, and what they did not want to see was that the 76ers expanded their lead under Angzi's strength. There was no way. David Blatter made a decision. Tristan Thompson was moved to the 4th position, Mozgov reappeared. The Cavaliers decided to slow down the rhythm, let the game enter a stagnant position. The Cavaliers changed their style of play, but the defensive end was still the same, so Angzi continued to play without the ball. However, the Cavaliers began to pay attention to Angzi's three-pointers, and they began to try to prevent Angzi from taking the ball from the three-point line. Angzi is not stupid either. He understands that at this time, he has to make some changes and can't make the same three-pointers. So for the next ball, Angzi still ran without the ball to catch the ball. After a single block, Angzi appeared outside the three-point line and J.R. Smith jumped on it. Angzi's subsequent choices were surprising. He shot the ball directly. Fake action. After hitting J.R. Smith, he took the ball and rushed inside. Then before LeBron James made up his defense, an emergency stop jumper sent the basketball to the basket again. The 38th point of the game was only 2 points away from the 40-point mark. The 76ers bench was boiling, and Reggie Miller in the commentary could not help shouting, with only 2 points away, Angzi can achieve an achievement of 40-plus points in 2 consecutive games. Angzi played very cleverly, followed by another run without the ball to catch the ball, and then rushed into the inside after a fake action from the outside. However, he was entangled in the ball by LeBron James and was unable to make a shot until he rushed to the penalty area. In addition, the attack ended with a throwing posture. However, Angzi also used a careful eye when throwing the shot. He did not make a direct shot. Instead, he made another fake move. He swayed LeBron James again before throwing the basketball. The referee's whistle rang while was thrown. The basketball got into the hoop. LeBron James thugs foul. 2-1. Suddenly, the audience booed, and only the 76ers were booing on the bench. When Angzi stood on the free throw line and made an extra penalty, the cheers on the 76ers bench were even louder. The 41st point of the game. Angzi has achieved 40-plus points in 2 consecutive games before halftime is over. Soon, the game played for a few more minutes. After the 76ers maintained a 16-point lead, Angzi was replaced. Evan Turner and Kawhi played on the field with a number of substitutes. The Cavaliers also replaced LeBron James, with Kelly Irving taking the bench. The two teams continued to fight against each other until the end of the half. The 76ers still led the Cavaliers by 16 points with 67-51. Angzi scored 41 points in the half, completely burst-like scoring performance, so everyone began to look forward to the second half of the game. Super Role Player. Author, Yuen Sanbuletinji. Chapter 648. When Angzi sacrificed his weapon of running without the ball and broke the Cavaliers' double-team defense, David Blatter knew that the Cavaliers could not defend Angzi. Unless the Cavaliers become a strong defense team in the league at this time and use deeper and more defense to block Angzi's catch, otherwise, as long as Angzi runs and receives the ball, the Cavaliers are destined to be unable to prevent Angzi. So in the second half, the Cavaliers let go. Their goal is to win. They can't control how many points Angzi scores. The first attack of the third quarter, the Cavaliers' possession of the ball, LeBron James broke through with the ball and scored to the outside. J.R. Smith made a three-pointer in the half-open position, reducing the point difference to 13 points. After that, the Cavaliers retreated across the board, pressing down the rhythm of the 76ers and playing a high-intensity rotation defense. At this time, Anzi also played a round of offensive with the ball. He played a pick and roll with Lawrence Knoll from the outside, and then went into the penalty area with the ball. Iman Shumpert, who defended him, could not resist. Christine Thompson came directly to make up. Anzi speeded up. Tristan Thompson, who was leaning on the defense, rushed into the penalty area, and then took a layup. Well, the goal is in. Anzi scored 2 more points, and the individual score of the whole game has reached 43 points. The 76ers still have a 15-point lead, and Anzi once again pushed the ball from the backcourt to the front court. This time, the Cavaliers resolutely doubled. When Anzi saw a double team, his reaction speed was also very fast. He made a direct score to the unmarked Lewis Williams on the other side. Lu Wei made a quick assault and rushed into the three-point line, a jumper and a hit. 2 points. The point difference widened to 17 points, so returning to the 76ers' defensive end, the Cavaliers' offense became more and more fierce. LeBron James rushed forward, and 11 rushed up to make up the defense, but LeBron James found an open space, passed an 11 behind. Iman Shumpert dunked in an empty run. In the next round, Anzi switched back to the ball again, ran back easily to catch the ball, and shot again. A three-pointer. With 46 points, Anzi's score continued to rise, and the 76ers' lead also rose to 18 points. Then, an 11 continued to run around the ball-free end. He didn't stick to looking for opportunities outside the three-point line, but kept running around, showing various offensive methods one by one. In this game, Anzi showed off his various offenses without the ball. Many people shouted wonderfully. The original Anzi was so strong without the ball. In the second half of the third quarter, Iman Shumpert really couldn't move Anzi. The Cavaliers had to replace LeBron James to defend Anzi. Of course, this had no effect. Anzi still scored, but the game was not so easy. He needs to make more changes to avoid the defense that LeBron James seeks to confront. In the third quarter, he received consecutive shots without the ball, and Anzi also scored consecutively. At the end of the third quarter, his personal score increased to 58 points. Reggie Miller was very excited at this time, 2 consecutive games of 50+. This reminds us of Kobe Bryant that year. Anzi also completed a continuous high-scoring performance, but I think that with Anzi's current strength, he can surpass Kobe Bryant. After all, even Michael Jordan has been surpassed by Anzi several times, and Kobe Bryant is nothing at all. Shaquille O'Neal also helped, but when he said this, he always felt a little strange. In the fourth quarter of the game, the Tenacious Knights bit the score. They were not far behind, only 16 points, and there was hope of tying the score. Therefore, the two teams still played the main force in the fourth quarter, and Anzi also continued to score mercilessly. In the first offense in the fourth quarter, Anzi played a backup single, turned to face the double-team turnover jumper and shot. With a scream, the goal was scored. With 2 points in the account, Anzi's personal score rose to 60 points. For a time, all 76ers fans from all over the world boiled over. Anzi's personal regular season scoring record is 66 points. Now, he is only 6 points away from his own scoring record. But let's not mention 66 points. The 60 points alone are already a high score that is difficult to see in the NBA. Now that the fourth quarter has just begun, Anzi's score will continue to rise. In this game, no one knows what kind of high points Anzi will score. Anzi scored a turnaround jumper, a two-pointer, the Cavaliers then returned a goal, LeBron James scored a mid-range shot, the point difference is still 16 points. Then, Anzi entered the personal mode. The 76ers on the court lineup is a defensive lineup, the point guard is Ismail Smith, Anzi plays the second position, the third position is Jack Lauder, the inside is Norrens Knoll and Cole Aldridge. Paul Gasol is still resting on the bench, so the scoring burden of this lineup can only be placed on Anzi alone. Fortunately, Anzi is in such a hot state that Brett Brown dared to put up such a lineup, then slowed down the rhythm, and tried every means to expand his lead. Anzi dominated the 76ers offense alone, so he started playing singles with the ball again. After the continuous shaking of the outside line, Anzi directly against LeBron James's defense, slammed a three-pointer and didn't make it. Then immediately turned back to the defense, and after defending the Cavaliers' fast break counter-attack, Anzi grabbed the rebound again, rushed to the front court, and shot a chasing three-pointer against the Bulls all over the court. Anzi shot very simply and aimed at the basket early. In comparison, this shot was a little more reliable than the previous shot. So, after a second, there was a scream and a clear net-grabbing sound. The ball scored 3 points. 63 points. With another high score exceeding 60 points, Anzi entered the scoring mode. Then, after an offensive round by the Cavaliers, the difference between the two teams became 17 points. Anzi attacked again with the ball. This time, the outside line was swayed continuously, and the action range was very large. This time it actually swayed LeBron James directly. Rushed inside with the ball. Rushing inside defensively against Tristan Thompson for a layup, and finally the goal was scored, which also caused Tristan Thompson's foul. Anzi stood on the free throw line and made an additional penalty with 66 points. In this regard, he evened his personal career regular season highest score. Then, in another round, Anzi scored 3 points from the outside, and his personal score finally broke the original 66 points to 69 points. The points difference has also been opened to more than 20 points. As the game time progressed, the Cavaliers were also close to giving up the game. In the end, with 4 minutes and 53 seconds left in the game, Anzi scored another three-pointer. His personal score broke the 70 mark and reached 72 points. A brand new record was born. The game also ended. David Blatter immediately replaced all the main players and gave up the game. But at this stage of the game, Anzi has completed a milestone. The Cavaliers and LeBron James have long been trampled by Anzi. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Role Player. Author, Yuen Sanbuletinji. Chapter 649. With 72 points in a single game, Anzi became Mr. 70, becoming the sixth player in NBA history to score 70-plus points. The other five are Wilt Chamberlain, who scored 100 points, Kobe Bryant, who scored 81 points, David Thompson, who scored 73 points, and Elgin Baylor and David Robinson, who also scored 71 points. Anzi scored 72 points and became the sixth player to score 70-plus points. At the same time, his 72 points are second only to Chamberlain, Kobe, and David Thompson, ranking fourth in history. Although it failed to break any record, Anzi's 72 points still stood at the pinnacle of history. The Cavaliers have become a stepping stone and LeBron James has become the background. Even fans of later generations can add to Anzi when judging the status of history. Anzi scored 72 points above LeBron James. This move made him completely complete, leaving LeBron James behind. After the game, Anzi was once again sought after, scoring 72 points in the Quicken Loans Arena, leaving LeBron James faceless, which is obviously an exciting moment. Anzi did not attend the press conference. He was surrounded by a group of reporters at the entrance of the player channel. The Cavaliers fans on both sides of the player channel had no thoughts to fight Anzi and left the field. Angzi accepted it in the gradually quiet lone arena. Media interviews. On the other side, LeBron James pretended to be very gracious and answered 2 or 3 questions from the reporter, and he waved his hand impatiently and forcibly left the scene. He really lost face in this game. Although Angzi is not his main defense, as Angzi's true opponent, LeBron James actually let Angzi score a 72-point, which means a lot. First of all, LeBron James, who was still expected to win the regular season MVP, is no better than Angzi anyway, because he lost too badly in the direct duel with Angzi. Secondly, another victory of the 76ers proved that if the Cavaliers don't want to solve Angzi's point by any means, in the future, even if the other players of the 76ers cannot play, Angzi will use his own strength to force the team to win. The process of this game and the final result proved this point. In the 7 years of the Cavaliers, LeBron James fell in the East, and only once broke out of the East. In the Heat, he rushed to the end almost every year for 4 years. However, he encountered the Spurs and failed consecutively, which led to the son of the day. In the 11 years since entering the NBA, there is nothing left. Now, returning to the first year of the Cavaliers, he seems to be even more desperate. Even with the help of Kelly Irving and Kevin Love, it will be difficult for him to win the championship again. Because the mountain standing in front of him now became Angzi. After the game, USA Today reported that they directly compared Angzi to Michael Jordan, and LeBron James was Charles Barkley at the time. They wrote, "GDP is like the bad boy army of the year." Before Angzi's rise, they won 3 championships and suppressed Angzi as teammates. But then, Angzi went to Philadelphia and started his own legend. At this time, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Carmelo Anthony, and Dwayne Wade are like Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, Karl Malone, and Gary Payton. They were all suppressed by Angzi. Now, and it's still completely suppressed. The 76ers will be the Bulls of the 21st century. A dynasty has already emerged. Facing the crazy poisonous milk in America today, Angzi seemed very humble. When the whole report was popular in the United States, Angzi was interviewed by the media again. He humbled, "I am not a contemporary Michael Jordan. I am just myself. I don't know what I can achieve. Go on your own way. Walk your own way." This is a requirement of Angzi at present. He is very clear that he is very strong now, but the NBA is a place to look at honors. After 10 years, he retired, and everyone remembers only that. Those honors, those MVPs, those championships. Therefore, Angzi, who has only 3 championships and 1 Finals MVP, needs further efforts. He is still a long way from Michael Jordan. The contemporary title of Michael Jordan, he can't become the title of Michael Jordan now, and he won't be in the future. After double killing the Cavaliers in the season, the 76ers continued to fight away and challenged the Pistons. This game was a back-to-back game, but Angzi got red eyes. After achieving 72 points, he began to rush towards the achievement of consecutive high scores. Facing Caldwell Pope's defense, Angzi made 17 of 34 shots and scored 53 points in the game. The whole of North America was a bit bursting with 50+ in 3 consecutive games. No one seems to be able to stop Angzi, who scored high points. In the next game, the 76ers' opponent will be the Pelicans, who are weak on the outside defense. Therefore, many people think that if Angzi really wants to brush, Kobe Bryant will have 4 consecutive games that year. 50+ games are likely to be tied by Angzi. Of course Angzi wants to brush. He wants to try whether breaking the record will make the system upgrade. Anyway, it is to brush a high score. At most, he will be a little tired, and he will not lose any other things. It is fine to try. However, Brett Brown is somewhat reluctant to let Angzi score points. The reason is very simple. Now the regular season has advanced to mid-January, which is before the All-Star weekend. This period is the peak of the player's own state, but it is also the player most vulnerable to injury. Sometime. Many star players are getting hotter and hotter during this period, and playing longer and longer. Eventually, they are affected by serious injuries due to excessive fatigue. Brett Brown didn't want Anzi to continue to score points. He even asked Anzi to rest in this game against the Pelicans. However, Anzi had a strong desire to play, and he could only compromise. In the first battle against the Pelicans, Anzi continued to explode. This time he was a targeted explosion. So in the first quarter, Anzi, who was in good shape, made 11 shots, hit 9 goals and scored 20 points. The Pelicans did not want to be a stepping stone to Anzi's creation of history, so they rose up and let Tyreke Evans, Quincy Pondersek, Dante Cunningham and others take turns to defend Anzi, but the effect was not very good. Anzi played half the time in the second quarter 4 for 4 and scored 12 points. At the end of the half, Anzi made 13 of 18 shots and scored 32 points in the half. In the second half, the 76ers led the Pelicans by 10 points. Anzi knew very well that he had to make a big break in the third quarter, otherwise, after the third quarter, the points difference continued to widen and he would have no chance to score points. So at the beginning of the third quarter, Anzi shot wildly. At the beginning of the game, he felt bad. A wave of 4 consecutive irons scared Brett Brown to call a timeout, but an 11 waved his hand to indicate that there was no problem. Then, after the timeout, Anzi made a wave of 4 consecutive games, added free throws, and scored 11 points again, and his personal score has risen to 42 points. In the second half of the third quarter, Anzi made another 4 of 9 shots. After adding 10 points to himself, the game was over. The Pelicans replaced all the main players, and Anzi left the court contentedly with a 52-point score. 50+ in 4 consecutive games. Achieved. Super Role Player. Author, Yuen Sanbuletinji. Chapter 650. After 4 consecutive 50+ games, Anzi only needs another 50+ score to surpass Kobe and achieve the achievement of 5 consecutive 50+ points. Anzi wants to see if he can break this record and upgrade the system. Therefore, in the next game, the 76ers will return to home against the Rockets. Anzi's goal is still to score 50+ points. Facing the Rockets' weak perimeter defense, Anzi is very good. Firm. This season, with the Warriors and Spurs firmly in the top 2, the Rockets' record is firmly in the top 4 in the Western Conference, and occasionally surpassing the Clippers to the top 3, the record can be described as brilliant. After being joined by Josh Smith, the Rockets had a period of ups and downs, but then they got on the right track. The former Eagle King Josh Smith is no longer at the peak, but his strength is still quite strong. For the Rockets, it is still a great reinforcement. He and the Rockets recently signed another signing, Corey Brewer, and the old Geocentric is also known as the Headband Brother, greatly enhancing the strength of the Rockets bench. As a result, the Rockets began to win consecutive games, gradually rising in the rankings, and even slowly catching up with the Spurs. Before the 76ers, the Rockets achieved a wave of 6-game winning streak in a hot state. The 76ers are also in a winning streak here. After defeating the Pelicans, the 76ers have already won 12 consecutive victories. This wave of more than 10 consecutive victories continues. If they win the Rockets, the number of consecutive victories will be reached. 13 games. Winning streak, Anzi's consecutive 50+ record, 2 Dalian games ahead of the record. The Rockets are also under great pressure. For James Harden, he won countless praise in the summer of 2013. With Kobe seriously injured and Dwayne Wade degraded, James Harden is considered the league's new first shooting guard. The joining of the first center Dwight Howard, the new first shooting guard and the first center combination formed, countless flattery ensued. But soon, At the beginning of the regular season, anxiety broke out at the moment when James Harden was energetic. At the start of the game, winning streaks and scoring high points. Anxiety, who also appeared in the second position, made everyone forget James Harden on the other side. Anxiety proved with his performance that he is the first shooting guard in the post-Kobe era. This season, Anxiety has further widened the gap with James Harden. Anxity's scoring average has risen to 33.6 points, and his assists per game have also risen to 9.2. With an average of 3.3 steals and 1.2 blocks per game, Anxity's gorgeous average data per game is not only the active first shooting guard. Now he even has the opportunity to compete for the first shooting guard in history. Of course, it is a bit of an exaggeration to say that the first shooting guard in the history of competition is still a bit exaggerated, but at least, Anxiety can now compete with Kobe Bryant and Dwayne Wade for the historical ranking of shooting guard. And James Harden? He is still far behind. This season, James Harden has also lost a lot of flattery. On the contrary, countless controversies flooded him, including his inconsistent relationship with Khloe Kardashian, as well as James Harden's defensive attitude on the field, etc. Many commentators compared Harden with Anxiety. Compared with Anxiety, who specializes in Abby Hornacek off the court, started on defense and did not lose defense even if he became a superstar, James Harden was chaotic off the court, had too much defensive attitude problems on the court, and always attacked. Is unstable. Some commentators believe that if James Harden is replaced by Anxiety, the Rockets may already be competing with the biggest dark horse warrior this season. Of course, some commentators believe that Harden's problem is not that big, but he is not so focused on the court. Before the Rockets and 76ers game, new ESPN commentator Sean Battier made predictions and comments on the game. Before the war, the 76ers had a record of 33 wins and 8 losses, while the Rockets had a record of 29 wins and 13 losses. The difference between the two teams' wins was 4.5. From the point of view of their record, the two teams were one grade worse. Judging from the performance of the two teams throughout the season, it is true. The 76ers are a championship-level team, and the Rockets are a little too close to reaching the championship-level team. However, judging from the recent performance of the two teams, the Rockets have a wave of 6 consecutive victories, and the 76ers have a wave of 12 consecutive victories. The two teams are in the same hot state. Just looking at the recent state, this game is still a battle. This game needs to pay attention to the core players and role players of the two teams. The core of the 76ers is the shooting guard and power forward, while the Rockets are the shooting guard and center. Comparison between Anxiety and James Harden. So far this season, Anxiety's scoring average has risen to 33.6 points, and another 5.2 rebounds, 9.2 assists, 3.3 steals, and 1.2 blocks. The magnificent stats are number one. And James Harden's averaging data has been opened by Anxiety almost 2 grades. So far this season, James Harden has averaged 27.4 points, 5.4 rebounds, 7.0 assists and 1.9 steals per game. Such a data can only be regarded as an ordinary superstar. Data cannot be compared with Anxiety's average data per game at all. In terms of the inner core of the two teams, Pau Gasol and Dwight Howard still have some grievances mixed in between. The two have accumulated a lot of contradictions during the Lakers period, and after each team changed, both of them continued to shine. Fever, their roles in their respective teams are different. Pau Gasol averaged 19.5 points, 10.8 rebounds, 3.7 assists and 1.8 blocks per game this season. He is more of an offensive axis in the team, which has more of an impact on the 76ers offense. And Dwight Howard's scoring data dropped sharply this season, averaging only 15.8 points, 10.5 rebounds and 1.3 blocks per game, but he has a great influence on the defensive end. The Rockets defend almost exclusively by Dwight Howard. Propped up. In terms of role players, Jack Lauder has improved significantly this season, and his role is a bit like the Rockets' Trevor Ariza this season, but compared to Ariza, Jack Lauder's offense is stronger and more stable. Compare with others. The point guard position is the Sixers' stubborn illness, and the power forward position is the Rockets' stubborn illness. Now, the two teams have their own solutions for these two positions. The Rockets choose to let the offensive excellent Moti Yunus start to ensure offensive firepower. And the Sixers chose Ismail Smith as the starter to ensure the starting defense. In terms of the bench for the two teams, the 76ers have Lewis Williams, Evan Turner, and other old 76ers, while the Rockets have the headbands of Corey Brewer, Josh Smith, and Jason Terry. The bench is just as strong. To sum up, this game between the Rockets and the 76ers will definitely be a strong matchup. The winner of the match is the matchup between Anzi and James Harden. If Anzi can continue to be in good shape, the 76ers will win. The probability will be as high as 80%. As a Rockets star, Shane Battier made some analysis and predictions for the next battle of the two teams. Overall, Shane Battier is optimistic about the 76ers win, but he still has a certain degree lean towards the Rockets a bit. If other commentators are allowed to predict the game, most of them will definitely think that the 76ers will win. After all, the two teams are not at the same level, and Anzi and James Harden are not at the same level. The media commentators discussed hotly, but the players of the two teams were too quiet before the game. Anzi did not even accept media interviews. Only an hour before the start of the game, he arrived late and rushed to the arena. On the other hand, James Harden followed the team to the Wachovia Center. He was interviewed by the media before the game, but James Harden only briefly answered a few sensitive questions, and then expressed his determination to win. In dealing with the media, James Harden is still doing very well. After dealing with the media, the two teams began to warm up on the sidelines. In the commentary, the two commentators of Turner Sports, Sean Battier and Doug Collins, were also in place. Turner Sports sent a somewhat controversial commentary combination. Shane Battier has played for the Rockets for most of his career. He has a deep affection for the Rockets. This game is destined to favor the Rockets. And Doug Collins has played for the 76ers throughout his career. After retiring, he also served as the head coach of the 76ers. Like Sean Battier, he has the same deep feelings for the 76ers. In this game, his position will be more biased towards the 76ers. Two commentators with opposing positions explain the same game, and many people are worried that the two will fight between the games. But at the beginning of the commentary, the two were still very harmonious. Sean, I think let's not talk about the outcome of this game, let's talk about another thing that many people are concerned about Anzi's continuous 50+, and now he has scored 50+ in 4 consecutive games. Do you think he will complete 5 consecutive 50+ games? Doug Collins evaded the question of winning or losing that might lead to quarrels, and talked about a continuous record. Indeed, Anzi's continuous 50+ has attracted the attention of many people. This is another scoring feast since Kobe Bryant. When Kobe Bryant scored high scores, it attracted a lot of shouts from the world. Now, Anzi's continuous high fen has attracted a lot of attention long ago. North America still pays less attention. In China, on the other side of the ocean, in the past week, everyone has been discussing Anzi's consecutive high scores. Before this game, almost all the fans were discussing that Anzi can get the game. Scores. Seen asked by Doug Collins, Shane Battier also expressed some of his own opinions. I think it is difficult for Anzi to continue performing 50+ consecutive performances. For 4 consecutive 50+ performances, his physical fitness may have reached its limit. If I were Brett Brown, Anzi would not even play in this game. Shane Battier believes that after 50+ consecutive, Anzi's physical fitness is already insufficient, and Brett Brown will not even let Anzi play. But in fact, Angzi not only played, but also started. However, it is true that the physical problems mentioned by Shane Battier do exist, but Angzi has 5 full glory pools. He consumes one and directly supplements his physical fitness. In this game, Angzi can still kill and kill. On the field, the warm-up was over and the game started soon. The 76ers starting lineup is point guard Ismail Smith, shooting guard Angzi, small forward Jack Lauder, power forward Paul Gasol and center Norrens Noel. The Rockets starting lineup is point guard Patrick Beverley, shooting guard James Harden, small forward Trevor Ariza, power forward Donatas Motelunas and center Dwight Howard. At the start of the game, Norrens Noel beat Dwight Howard with a jump ball, and the 76ers advanced. Ismail Smith dribbled the ball through halftime and then handed the basketball to Angzi. The Rockets defending Angzi was Patrick Beverley. As soon as Angzi got the ball, Beverley posted it. Rockets coach Kevin McHale clearly knows that James Harden's defense is very problematic. If Harden is asked to guard Angzi in this game, he will definitely be beaten by the recent hot Angzi, so McHale chose Beverley in the opening game. Wrap around Angzi and consume Angzi's physical energy as much as possible. Patrick Beverley is a player who returned from Europe. He was selected by the Lakers, but after the selection he did not get any chance in the NBA. He did not even get a formal NBA contract, so he could only go to Europe. After 3 years of experience in Europe, Patrick Beverley was signed by the Rockets and then gained a firm foothold. Beverley is also the most preferred lead candidate for the 76ers general manager Sam Hinkie. Beverley is tenacious in defense and can always guard against the opponent's arrow figure. He also has a three-pointer, which is a rare point guard position. 3D player. But the 76ers know the value of Beverley, and the Rockets clearly know more. Therefore, Beverley is considered a non-sale item of the Rockets unless the 76ers are willing to trade Pau Gasol or Angzi, or some other large chips. But obviously, the 76ers will not be so stupid. Compared to Beverley, Ismail Smith is equivalent to a Beverley without 3 points. Although it is a bit short, it is enough. An 11 was entangled by Beverley in the opening game. An 11 was also very smart. He saw that Beverley was defending himself, so he turned around and played back in the high post. The tonnage difference between Beverley and Angzi is really too big. Facing Angzi's back attack, Beverley can't stand it alone. Therefore, after Angzi advanced 2 steps, the Rockets could only make a pincer attack at this time. Angzi made a pass to the bottom corner, Jack Lauder made a three-pointer, and with a scream, in. The 76ers scored a three-pointer at the beginning, and then the Rockets' offense came. Although James Harden has a very poor attitude on the defensive end, he has done very well on the offensive end. The Rockets' offense is very dependent on Harden. With the first attack in the opening game, the ball was also handed over to Harden. Harden then used a pick and roll, a European step to dodge Angzi's defense and rushed into the basket to succeed. 2 points into the account, 2:3. Both teams played very fast in the opening offense. The 76ers played with Angzi back, and the battle was resolved within 3 or 4 seconds, while Harden on the Rockets rushed to the front court with a European step, and it didn't take much time. As a result, the total offensive time of the two teams took just over 24 seconds. From the perspective of time, this game is destined to be an offensive battle.